Shi Quan Jen, better known as Yen Shi Quan, was born on the 1st of January 1947 in Hong Kong. He is best known for the Jet Li movie Once Upon a Time in China and Donnie Yen's Iron Monkey. Quan's father, Yam Yu Tin, was an actor and director who relocated from Shanghai to Hong Kong in the late 1940s. As a young boy, he studied Kung Fu and other forms of martial arts along with his brother and sister, who also became actors. In 1952, at the age of 5, he and his siblings starred in their first movie called The Precious Sword and the Magic Bow. That same year, he starred in a movie with his father called A Sword Against Five Dragons, which his father also directed. For the next 14 years, Quan did not feature in any movies. Instead, he focused on his martial arts training. At the age of 19, he signed a contract with Shaw Brothers Studio and appeared in his first film for them as an extra, in the movie Magnificent Trio starring Jimmy Wang Yu and Lo Lei. Between the years 1967 to 1971, Quan featured in 53 movies for Shaw Studios, mainly as hoodlums and thugs. Between 1972 to 1977, he featured in 61 movies, the majority being for Shaw Studio, but he had also begun working for other producers. Although he featured in 117 movies and his face was recognizable to moviegoers, Quan still had not gotten his big break. He had been relegated to minor roles as thugs and gangsters. In frustration, he decided to take a hiatus from acting. However, after a 2-year break, Quan's fortune would take a turn for the better. In 1979, he was given a prominent role alongside Jackie Chan in the movie Dragon Fist. His portrayal as the remorseful master Zhong Jianjun was well received. He followed this up with the role of the main villain Mo Dok Tak in the movie The 36 Crazy Fist, for which Jackie would do the fight choreography. He then further cemented his legacy by starring as the main villain Yen Chien Wong in Jackie's directorial debut The Fearless Hyena. He then finished off the 70s with a bang, starring as Grasshopper Chan in Story of the Drunken Master and the Sick-Fist Master in Dance of the Drunken Mantis. The success of these movies meant that Quan's days as an extra was now behind him. In 1980, Quan starred as the titular Killer in White and as the manipulative villain Long Tien Chien in The Master Strikes. In 1982, he took on back-to-back roles as a good guy, first as Captain Yu in the movie Bloodchild, and then as Zhang Li in the Shaw Brothers movie Kid from Kwantung. The Kung Fu movies era was coming to an inevitable end, and in order to adapt to the coming change, in 1986, after the movie Young Taoism Fighter, Quan made the transition into television. After 5 years away from making movies, in 1991, Quan made a triumphant return with the role that he is now perhaps best known for, Iron Robe Yin Chong Tung in the Jet Li movie Once Upon a Time in China. Between 1992 to 2001, Quan would have prominent roles in 14 movies. The most notable ones were in the movies The Swordsman 2 and Once Upon a Time in China Part 2, both with Jet Li, Dragon Inn with Donnie Yen, Royal Tramp Part 2 with Stephen Chow, Kickboxer with Yen Bu, and Iron Monkey, again with Donnie Yen. With a career spanning almost 50 years, featuring in 135 films and facing off against the top talents in Kung Fu cinema, the likes of Huang Zhangli, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and Donnie Yen, Yen Shi Quan would now take his place amongst the legends of martial arts cinema. In the year 2001, the movie Goldfingers would be Yen Shi Quan's last credited role. Up to the year 2024, at the age of 77, Quan still lives in Hong Kong with his family. Information about his private life is vague. However, his legacy lives on through his tremendous body of works, which has guaranteed that his place in the annals of Kung Fu cinema is safe and secured. So, to Yen Shi Quan we say, thanks for the memories. Chang Po Shen, better known as Chang Yi, was born on the 24th of February 1945 in Huizhou, China. He came from a family of famous circus acrobats who were known for performing death-defying stunts. He is a Chinese actor director, producer, and a former Shaw Brothers leading man. From a very young age, Chang was trained in martial arts and Peking opera. He was discovered in his early 20s while performing in a Peking opera by Shaw Brothers talent scouts. He made his film debut in the movie The Thundering Sword. He then became typecast as a swordsman in many of Shaw's wuxia movies of the late 60s and early 70s. He starred regularly alongside Jimmy Wang Yu, who was a leading megastar of the studio at that time. Their first on-screen collaboration was the crossover movie Zatoichi Meets the One-Armed Swordsman. That same year, Chang appeared in two other movies, The Silent Swordsman and King Cat. Between the years 1968 to 1971, he appeared in 13 consecutive movies for Shaw Studio, usually co-starring Jimmy Wang Yu, Lo Lei, or Cheng Pei. The year 1972 found Chang branching out with other producers, with the movie The Ghost of Night Crow, a Taiwanese production for Kam Hoi Film Company. He also made The Last Duel with Jimmy Wang Yu for Li Ming Film Company, Bandits from Shantung and Lady Whirlwind for Golden Harvest, On the Waterfront for Dak Lee Film Company, and The Cannibals for Park Films. In 1973, Chang directed and starred in the movie The Chinese Dragon along with frequent collaborator Long Fei. From that point onwards in his career, Chang Yi would drop his image as a heroic swordsman and instead mainly showed up as a villain. He would, along with Huang Zhangli and Lo Lei, pioneer and popularize the white-haired villain. It's quite possible that he played the white-haired role more often than they did. He first donned the white-haired wig in the 1976 film The Ming Patriot, also starring Ho Chong-tao and Carter Wong, and then in Shaolin Traitor, also starring Carter Wong. In 1977, with the movie Two Assassins of Darkness, Chang starred for the first time with Dord Wang Tao, thus beginning a partnership that would birth such classic movies as 10 Brothers from Shaolin and Eagle's Claw, 1977, Phantom Kung Fu, The Challenge of Death, Shaolin Iron Claws, Fatal Needles Fatal Fist, Shaolin Invincible Sticks, and The Shaolin Kung Fu Master, all in 1978. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable. Chang often played the villain to Wang's hero. The early 80s saw Chang still making kung fu movies. He played a ruthless villain in the classic movie The Victim. He also starred in the movie Monkey Kung Fu and a few others. He then made the transition into television, where he appeared in a number of action series. By the late 80s, the Kung Fu era had come to an end, and the Gun Fu era had begun. Chang tried his hand with a few of the new wave action films, such as Where's Officer Tuba in 1986 and Magnificent Warriors in 1987. These two movies would see Chang Yi and Huang Zhangli together for the first time on screen. The year 1992 saw Chang in his final big screen appearance in the movie The Moon Warriors. From that point onwards, Chang mainly focused on television work until the early 2000s, when he retired and moved to Vancouver, Canada. Up to the year 2024, he still resides there. With a movie career spanning 25 years and 96 films, with many memorable performances and more than a few classic movies to his name, it is safe to say that Chang Yi's legacy in the annals of Kung Fu cinema is safe and secured. To Chang Yi we say, thanks for the memories. Wang Lap Tat, better known as Lo Lei, was born on the 29th of June 1939 in Indonesia. He is best known for his portrayals of Chow Chi Hao from the 1972 Kung Fu movie King Boxer, Priest Pai Mei in Executioners from Shaolin, and Fist of the White Lotus. Lei was born into an Indonesian Chinese family. He was sent back to Hong Kong at an early age by his parents to get an education, as they wanted their son to remember his true heritage. He joined Shaw's Academy at an early age and was among their first set of students who graduated. He was considered to be quite talented and among their finest. Almost immediately, he featured in various standout roles as both heroes and villains. In 1970, he starred in the film Brothers 5, which also starred Cheng Pei and the Chinese boxer with Jimmy Wang Yu. Legendary director Chang Che took notice of his performances and cast him in the classic movie Five Fingers of Death. That movie was such a sensation in Hong Kong that it came to the attention of Warner Brothers Studio in America. At this period in time, in the West, kung fu films were still unpopular. Warner Brothers got the distribution rights to the Five Fingers of Death and released it in the United States as an experiment, one that proved to be very successful. The movie performed very well at the box office. The fight scenes left a huge impression on the audiences, who had never witnessed anything like it before. With the longevity that he had, Lei practically worked with everyone in the kung fu movie genre several times over. But some of his finest on-screen moments were his team-ups with the legendary Gordon Liu. Their battles in films like Fist of the White Lotus, Fist and Guts, The 36th Chamber of Shaolin, and Dirty Ho are beyond legendary. Lei remained at Shaw Brothers for quite some time before going on to work for other studios. He featured in many of the biggest and most high-profile films of the 70s and early 80s. Once the studios discovered that Lei could play the hero, the villain, a supporting character, or even the comedy relief. One of his most memorable roles as a white-haired villain was against Gordon Liu in Fist of the White Lotus. An interesting fun fact about this movie is that it was a loose remake of the already classic film Executioners from Shaolin, with Lei reprising the Pai Mei character from that movie. He also played a similar character in the movie Shaolin Abbot. As the 90s came around, Lei remained as relevant as he was in the past, playing mob bosses and gangsters in the new wave gun fu films, which were the new craze. He featured in the movies Miracles and Super Cops starring Jackie Chan. He also shifted his work to television, becoming a regular on shows on Asia Television Limited. Eventually, Lei retired at the end of the decade. In 2002, a year after he announced his intention to permanently retire from acting, sadly, Lei suffered from a heart attack, leaving behind two sons, both from his second wife, an older sister of renowned director Stanley Tong. With an impressive legacy that boasts more than 100 kung fu movies and 9 directing credits in almost 300 movies in total, plus other credits and television work, it is quite safe to say that Lo Lei left an indelible mark on the martial arts genre, and that his place in the annals of kung fu cinema is safe and secured. To Lo Lei we say, thanks for the memories. Wang Longwei, better known in the kung fu movie world as Johnny Wang, was born on the 14th of July 1949 in China. He is a martial artist, actor, director, producer, and action choreographer, who is best known for his role as the traitor of Shaolin Ma Fu Yi in the classic kung fu movies Shaolin Temple and Five Shaolin Masters. He has starred in close to 100 movies, mainly kung fu films, for Shaw Brothers Studio, beginning in the early 70s to the mid-80s. Wang's family came to Hong Kong while he was still a child. As a young boy, he was very rebellious by nature. This attitude contributed to him being labeled a bad student, as he regularly got into fights at his school. During a particular fight, one of his opponents got badly injured and Wang was expelled from his school. He then found himself wandering aimlessly and without any real plans for the future. To survive, he began playing his guitar in bars and nightclubs. During that time, he also began learning martial arts from a local kung fu master. Possessing a natural gift for fighting, along with his athleticism, he progressed at a rapid rate. At the age of 24, Wang responded to an ad in the newspaper stating that Shaw Brothers Studios' top director Chang Che was searching for new actors. Wang applied and was chosen by Chang, who saw his potential. He made his film debut in the classic movie Shaolin Martial Arts in 1974 alongside Leung Ka-yan as one of the main villains. Even though he was inexperienced and had limited acting abilities, his physical abilities stood out. So much so, that very same year in the movie Five Shaolin Masters, he was given a chance to play a character that he would forever be associated with, the Benjamin Franklin of Kung Fu movies, the traitor of Shaolin, Ma Fu-yi. He would also portray this character in 1976's prequel, Shaolin Temple, aka Death Chamber. The die was cast. From that movie onwards, it became a pattern, in that he was cast as a villain in the majority of his movies, with Martial Club 1981 and Mercenaries from Hong Kong 1982 being two famous exceptions. From 1976 onwards, Wang became the go-to bad guy for Shaw Studios. It seemed like every director at Shaw would call on him to do a movie. He would average between 6 and 8 movies per year, and not just any movie. His resume is littered with classic films such as Chinatown Kid, 1977, The Five Deadly Venoms, 1978, Kid with the Golden Arm, 1979, Fist of the White Lotus, 1980, and Martial Club, 1981, to name a few. For every one movie that was mentioned, there were literally 4 or 5 more classics not mentioned on this list. Wang developed a chemistry with the late great Alexander Fusheng, which began with the movie Shaolin Temple, a chemistry that had many directors pairing them up for numerous on-screen duels. They dueled each other in at least 16 different movies. Although Wang had many other memorable team-ups against many other legendary Kung Fu movie stars, the other person that stood out is Gordon Liu. Their battles in Clan of the White Lotus and Return to the 36th Chamber in 1980, Treasure Hunters and Martial Club in 1981 are all classics. From 1974 to 1980, Wang worked exclusively for the Shaw Studio. He featured in 34 films during that period. However, in the year 1980, he would, for the first time, share his talent with other producers. He played the villain in 2 classic independent films, Two Toothless Tiger for Sammo Hung's film company, and Two on the Road for Goldig Films Hong Kong Limited. He did these films while still managing to feature in 7 movies for Shaw Studio. In 1985, Wang moved behind the camera, choreographing fight scenes, writing and directing movies such as Hong Kong Godfather and This Man is Dangerous, both for Shaw Studio. He went on to direct a total of 10 films while maintaining his acting career. In the 1990s, he appeared in the movies Twin Dragons with Jackie Chan and New Legend of Shaolin with Jet Li. He also starred in a few television series for ATV and TVB. Wang retired from making movies in the late 2000s. However, by this time he had already secured his legacy in the annals of Kung Fu cinema and claimed his place as one of the top 5 villains in Kung Fu movie history. To Johnny Wang Long Wei we say, thanks for the memories. Hwang Jang-lee, born December 21, 1944, is a Japanese-Korean martial artist and film actor, best known for his role as Thunderlegs in Drunken Master, Shen Quan in Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, and Silver Fox in The Secret Rivals. Hwang was born in Aomori Honshu Island, Japan, to Korean parents. His family moved back to Korea when he was a baby. At the age of 14, Hwang began his Taekwondo training and got his 7th Dan black belt in 1965 at age 21. He became a martial arts instructor for the Korean and Vietnamese armies. In January 2003, Hwang received his 9th-degree black belt in Taekwondo. In addition, he currently holds a 9th Dan ranking with the World Tang Soo Do General Federation. He still actively teaches martial arts and is currently an instructor with the World Tang Soo Do General Federation and serves as technical advisor. He began his acting career in Korean movies and had several small roles in movies like Kill the Shogun, before starring alongside Casanova Wong in the movie Martial Mates in 1976. That very same year, he would be invited by director NGCN to star as the main villain Silver Fox in the movie Secret Rivals. The movie would be a great success and would go on to become a classic in the martial arts movie genre. It also made stars of its main cast and many of its background players. Hwang would go on to star in many classic martial arts movies, usually playing the main villain. In 1978, Hwang starred alongside Jackie Chan in 2 films that forever changed the landscape of Kung Fu cinema. Those movies are Snake in the Eagle's Shadow and Drunken Master. These two movies would solidify Huang's status as the go-to bad guy for the next few years in kung fu movies. Huang directed a total of 4 films. The first in 1981 called Hitman in the Hands of Buddha. In 1983, he directed the movie Canton Viper. To date, this film has never gotten an official release. He also directed Never Again in 1990 and Emperor of the Underworld in 1994. In 1989, Huang got an invitation by Grandmaster Jun Chong to come to America to star as a villain in the film Street Soldiers. In an effort to bring a more Americanized flavor to the movie, Huang decided to use the name Jason Huang, which incidentally is the given name of his son. In the early 1990s, Huang returned to South Korea, where he ran a hotel and a golf team manufacturing company in Seoul. He would also manage a bodyguard agency during this time. He only appeared occasionally in movies such as Emperor of the Underworld in 1994 and Boss in 1996. In July 1996, at the age of 51, Huang officially retired from acting. Here is a famous story of Huang's. While he was an instructor in the Korean Army, like a scene straight out of one of his movies, Huang was challenged by a knife fighter. The story, as told by Huang himself, is they were at a bar and the knife fighter, who obviously had too much to drink, was boasting that his knives were better than Huang's kicks. Wanting nothing to do with the situation, Huang said he turned to walk away, but the guy attacked him from behind. He was alerted of the impending attack, sidestepped, and connected with a roundhouse kick to the guy's temple, killing him instantly. After a long absence from acting, Huang made an appearance in the TV series The Return of Jimmy. He was also featured in the documentary film The Anonymous King, in which James Hudson examined Huang's personal life in Seoul, Korea, and Hong Kong. In 2014, he began a 100-country tour, connecting with his fans in different parts of the world. In 2017, he opened a dojo in Korea. He can presently be found on social media, where he reaches out to interact with his legion of fans. In the annals of Kung Fu cinema, Huang Zhang Li's place is more than secured. To Huang Zhang Li we say, thanks for the memories. If you have enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and feel free to leave a comment. Thank you and may the Fu be with you.